Do our classrooms and communities welcome typically marginalized students and citizens? Do we recognize the value and the contributions that they bring? Are disabled students missed by their classmates when they're not in the general ed classrooms? Are students with disabilities only included when they're doing the same work as everyone else? Do they have to prove their worthiness? Today, we're going to get some powerful advice from a documentary called A Credo for Support. So let us know in the comments if you have seen this before or not. And if we haven't met, I'm Charmaine Tanner. I'm a parent, retired teacher, special education advocate for students, and I support parents as they are on their advocacy journey for their child to be seen, heard, and included. Now, I want you to know that this is a safe place, and I encourage you to add your comments, your thoughts, and join our conversation today. This is not about me. This is about all of us. And we all have a lot of work still to do, right? So the other bit of wonderful news I have for you is the writers and producers of the film that we're going to watch today, A Credo for Support, Norman Kuntz and Emma Vanderclift, are going to be with us live next week, and I am so excited. These are two badass social justice advocates and activists. So I hope you'll join in our conversation today, and I hope that you'll come back next week, because then we'll have an even more powerful conversation. So let us begin by watching our film. It's about a 4-minute documentary, and then we'll be back for lots of discussion and conversation. So let us begin. If I can do this.
Throughout history, people with physical and mental disabilities have been abandoned at birth, banished from society, used as court jesters, drowned and burned during the Inquisition, gassed in Nazi Germany, and still continue to be segregated, institutionalized, tortured in the name of behavior management, abused, raped, euthanized, and murdered. Now, for the first time, people with disabilities are taking their rightful place as fully contributing citizens. The danger is that we will respond with remediation and benevolence rather than equity and respect. And so we offer you a credo for support. Do not see my disability as the problem. Recognize that my disability is an attribute. Do not see my disability as a deficit. It is you who see me as deviant and helpless. Do not try to fix me because I am not broken. Support me. I can make my contribution to the community in my own way. Do not see me as your client. I am your fellow citizen. See me as your neighbor. Remember, none of us can be self-sufficient. Do not try to modify my behavior. Be still and listen. What you define as inappropriate may be my attempt to communicate with you in the only way I can. Do not try to change me. You have no right. Help me learn what I want to know. Do not hide your uncertainty behind professional distance. Be a person who listens and does not take my struggle away from me by trying to make it all better. Do not use theories and strategies on me. Be with me, and when we struggle with each other, let that give rise to self-reflection. Do not try to control me. I have a right to my power as a person. What you call non-compliance or manipulation may actually be the only way I can exert some control over my life. Do not teach me to be obedient, submissive, and polite. I need to feel entitled to say no if I am to protect myself. Be my ally against those who exploit me for their own gratification. Do not try to be my friend. I deserve more than that. Get to know me. We may become friends. Do not help me, even if it does make you feel good. Ask me if I need your help. Let me show you how you can best assist me. Do not admire me. A desire to live a full life does not warrant adoration. Respect me, for respect presumes equity. Do not tell, correct, and lead. Listen, support, and follow. Do not work on me. Work with me.
So I have seen that film, I would guess, dozens of times. And each time I watch it, there's almost this new message, this new nuance for me to learn from. So if this was your first time watching a credo of support like Angela, what did you think? What were some of those poignant moments? What did you hear in that video that made an impact on you? The other thing that I think is so curious is that, well, first of all, I guess we'll have a guessing contest. When do you think the words for this film were written? What year? What decade? What century do you think these words were written? So let's have a contest, because you know what we could do is the person that gets closest to the year that these words were written, you will get a copy of Being Realistic Isn't Realistic by Norman Kunz and Emma Vanderclift, who will be with us next week. But give me your guesses. And at the end of the show, I'm going to see who's closest to the year those words were written. And you will get your own copy of the book. Angela says, I might use this at the IEP meetings. Love it. Yeah. I mean, you look at all the places that this short, powerful film could be showed. If you have 3 minutes at a school board meeting, you get up and start the film, and then your 3-minute cutoff, you have a friend come up and you finish watching the film with your school board. If you're having a special education advisory meeting, show it. Ask for time at the beginning of your IEP meeting and show it. Because, friends, this is still so applicable to today. When will we have a day that we can show this film and say, remember when? Oh my goodness, look back on that life that used to happen. And I know, I have to remind myself that we have come a ways in 40 years. We have new laws passed. We had a U.S. Supreme Court case that spoke to the value of every student. For us to have those high expectations, for us to figure out ways that we can listen to our students and give them voice and choice, and how they support each other in their classroom community. So give us your comments. The other thing I would love is a favorite advocate of mine and many of yours, Sarah Jo, who is now getting her PhD at Syracuse University. She had said to me that if you are one of her undergraduate students and watch our advocacy shows here, that you will get extra credit. So if you're a student of Sarah Jo at Syracuse, let us know that too, because you are that future generation of teachers that are learning new lessons, and you will make enormous change when you enter those classrooms and you accept and include and value every student sitting there in your room. So Tatum, hello. She says, love your ability to speak the truth, transparent. And Amy from New York says, each time it hits me with different emotions too. I know, it's like, so I don't see many people making guesses. Guess the year that A Credo for Support was written, because you will be in the running for a copy of Norman and Emma's book, Being Realistic Isn't realistic? I don't know. Kimberly from Iowa. Hey, Kim. She said, I already had a cry session this morning. I know. It's like, gee whiz. Oh, good. We have a guess. Samantha says, I say 1987. Since Andrea already said, was it 85? I should put my glasses on. Yeah, so we have a guess, 1985, 1987. What are some of your guesses? Hey, Michelle, I just love that we have parents from around the country. And so I give a shout out to the state where they are, because I want you to know that you can connect with other parents. And so we need to, as I always say, widen that circle of allies, right? So Michelle, how are you? She says, we have to take the risk to speak up. I just lost my job today because I'm advocating too hard with no degree. I'm just that parent, but that won't stop me. We're all in this together. So, yeah, it can be very, depressing to look at where we are and where we still have to go. But there are celebrations, there are things that have been happening and that are continue to happen to create great change. And we need each one of you in your own way, in your own school, in your own community, to be speaking up and speaking out. And we need to have our children see us model advocacy, because their voice is the one that matters. And when they're young, we're kind of their microphone. But believe me, when they start school, they need their own microphone. Our kids can tell us what we need to know. And that's who we need to be listening to. So we have some more guesses. The late 1970s, which is a good guess. I'm old. I graduated from college in 1974. And so it's so interesting because I've seen this evolution of inclusion from the 70s. And yes, we still know that we have more work to do, right? Trinita, thank you. She says, I know how you feel. Samantha says, cruelty is meant to evoke shock and pain. We need to express our love and concerns with the same level of frequency, so others don't have a choice but to feel our energy. Thank you. Yeah. Oof. And the energy can sometimes be helped when it's a collective energy, right? And that's the purpose of having our weekly shows here, is to make sure that there's a way that we can gather at least once a week and share our thoughts, share our experiences, and also share our celebrations. So as you're thinking about the film A Credo for Support, please also type in the celebrations that you and your child have been having this past year. Because we also need that energetic pumping up of, yes, it's possible. Change is happening, right? We need this. We need this. Amy says, and Amy's from New York, and she's a wonderful advocate. She says, oh no, people have told me to let others with greater privilege do this advocacy work. Not my day job, not my consulting coaching company, but the other unpaid work for inclusion. But we need everyone's voice, so I can't not do it. So sorry to hear this. New door around the corners. Hugs to you. Yeah, and it's just that just in everyday life, you can see those undertones of white privilege, which I have as a white privileged middle-class female. And just the judgments that keep being made. And, like when you're in the grocery store and you see those people kind of glancing, but trying to be polite and not staring at your child. Little things like that show us the work that we still have to do. On the other hand, when I think back to when our son Dylan was fully included in his schooling years, I know it's possible. And if it was possible 30 years ago for Dylan, it's possible today for your child. And there's no reason why our kids have to prove something before they are allowed to be in the presence of other children. So, what are some of the successes? What are some of the celebrations that we can be happy about and celebrate today? How are you helping your child turn their microphone on? Are they coming to their IEP meetings? I remember when Dylan was 6 weeks old and he went to his first meeting with me when the developmental center was giving some results of a checklist. Because how much can you ask a 6-week-old baby to do? But I wanted Dylan to be there. And yes, he was in his infant chair sitting on the table. But I wanted to make sure the adults sitting around that table remember this. This human being is the person we're talking about. And so when you have IEP meetings, whether your child is 6 weeks old, 3, 7, 11, whatever age, think about having them be at their IEP meetings, at least for the beginning. Have them share what they enjoy, who their friends are, what they like about school, because those few minutes at an IEP meeting can lead to them becoming the facilitator at their own IEP meeting as they get older. So remember, it's our child's voice that matters. It's their dreams. We need to know what they are, and we need to help support them to achieve those dreams. So, as parents, as educators, we know good things are happening around the school, not only our school district, in our state, in our country. And I say, hey, if good things can happen in Woodland Park, Colorado, good things can happen for your child. And I don't know, should I apologize for my tears? Corey is one of our trailblazers. She lives in Alabama. And she says, absolutely, you are correct. It's emotional to hear our child pleads for opportunities and our continued fight to see them realized. Andrea says, I agree, I want them to be at the table. If they wouldn't say it to my kid's face, they shouldn't say it to me. And I think that's one of the advantages of having students at their own IEP meetings. It does change the tone of the meeting, It helps people think before they speak, which is always helpful. The other thing that we talked about a few weeks ago is to invite your child's friends to also be at IEP meetings and have their friends give input, because so many times other kids have so much better ideas than we could have ever thought of. So having your child there, think about having some of their friends come with them, think about their brothers and sisters. An IEP meeting does not have to be, you know, 17 people from the school district and you and your partner at the meeting. We can change the tone, we can change the outcomes by the people that are sitting around that table. So that's another thing we could possibly do, right? Um, so who's got some celebration? So, um, yeah, she says great advice for self advocacy, um, and that's something that sometimes we think about self advocacy as being skills. We want our high schools, to help, you know, have our kids realize and develop those skills. But really, it comes from a very young age. And like I said, even if your child can just attend for the beginning of the meeting, that can be really helpful. When I often tell the story about when Dylan was 3 and we had our first IEP meeting and we had it at our house. So people could come, Dylan could be playing with his dogs and toys in the living room, and we could sit around the living room and have a conversation. And teachers were able to see, look how cool Dylan is, look how fun he's having, look at the books he's interested in. And then the next few IEP meetings that we had for Dylan when he was in school in kindergarten were in his kindergarten classroom. So again, Dylan could be, at the centers, crawling, not crawling, he was walking around at that time, exploring things. But we could also bring him back to the table and say, Dylan, tell us about what you did yesterday that you were so excited about. And so there are unique ways that we can make sure our children's voices are heard at meetings. And those are the beginnings of their self advocacy skills. So I hope that you will look at that. Angela, do you have a celebration here? She says, my daughter worked on a project in history with a little support from her teacher on how to research it and find images. She made slides for a PowerPoint, had a peer help edit it, and she presented it and loved the whole thing. 6th grade. Yes, 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 yes. Look at that. How cool. How cool. And just think of the power of those skills that she got, and think of the enormous feeling of confidence and self-pride for your daughter to be able to get up there and do a presentation like everyone else. So and I guess for like everyone else, that's like a judgment, right? It's not like our kids have to be like everybody else. And look at how those words came out of my mouth. um Yeah, I think I still have more deconditioning to do, um, and check my ableist language when I hear it, right? Um, and Corey, what has a comment? She said, absolutely, you are correct. And it's emotional to hear our child's pleas. Yes, and I just showed this, but I guess we need to hear it again for opportunities in our continued fight to see them realized. Yep, and that's what we're about, right? And Amy reminds us, she says it's kids being what they are naturally, being without adults destroying their loving selves. Yeah. What a difference that makes, right? So I also wanted to show you a version of A Credo for Support, the documentary film. When disabled people are the ones that are saying the words. So we're going to show that, and then remind me to pick the person that is closest to when the words of A Credo for Support were first written, and I'll send you a copy of Norman and Emma's book. So let's change here, and we're going to
Throughout history, people.
Okay, let me get this queued up and started. This is a different version of A Credo for Support. So if you didn't see the version at the beginning, you can always come back for the replay.
Throughout history, people with physical and mental disabilities have been abandoned at birth.
You know, I apologize. I think that's the same one. Let me go. I'm sorry here.
Throughout history, people with physical and mental disabilities have been abandoned at birth, banished from society, used as court jesters, drowned and burned during the Inquisition, gassed in Nazi Germany, and still continue to be segregated, institutionalized, tortured in the name of behavior management, abused, raped, euthanized, and murdered. Now, for the first time, people with disabilities are taking their rightful place as fully contributing citizens. The danger is that we will respond with remediation and benevolence rather than equity and respect. And so we offer you A Credo for Support.
Do not see my disability as the problem. Recognize that my disability is an attribute.
Do not see my disability as deficit. It is you who see me as deviant and helpless.
Do not try to fix me because I am not broken. Support me. I can make my own contribution to the community in my own way.
Do not see me as your client. I am your fellow citizen. See me as your neighbor. Remember, none of us can be self-sufficient.
Do not try to modify my behavior. Be still and listen. What you define as inappropriate may be my attempt to communicate with you in the only way that I can.
Do not try to change me. You have no right. Help me learn what I want to know.
Do not hide your uncertainty behind professional distance. Be a person who listens and does not take away my struggle from me by trying to make it all better.
Do not use theories and strategies on me. Be with me, and when we struggle with each other, let that give rise to self-reflection.
Do not try to control me. I have a right to my power as a person. What you call non-compliance or manipulation may actually be the only way I can exert some control over my life.
Do not teach me to be obedient, submissive, and polite. I need to feel entitled to say no if I am to protect myself.
Do not be charitable towards me. The last thing the world needs is another Jerry Lewis. Be my ally against those who exploit me for their own gratification.
Do not try to be my friend. Get to know me. We may become friends.
Do not help me even if it makes you feel good. Ask me if I need your help. Let me show you how you can best assist me.
Do not admire me. A desire to live a full life does not warrant adoration. Respect me, for respect presumes equity.
Do not tell, correct, listen, support, and follow.
Do not work on me. Work with me.
Do not work on me. Work with me. Do not work.
This video is dedicated to the memory of Tracy Latimer. Written and produced by Norman Kuntz and Emma Vanderclift. Introduction spoken by Emma Vanderclift. Statements spoken by People First of San Luis Obispo.
So, you have a couple of choices. If you would love to show a credo for support at an IEP meeting, you have the choice of the one that we showed at the beginning of the film, which is the spoken one. You have the choice of showing the one with the experts, the disabled people that are speaking the words. Both of them are powerful, and I hope that this will be a resource for you. I will be sending out my weekly newsletter tomorrow. I'll have the text of the words for a credo for support. I'll have the links for the videos that we saw today. So if you, I don't know if I still have this, if you're not on my email list and you would like to connect and keep getting weekly tips and different resources, I encourage you to sign up, because this is another way that we can be connected. So you can go to iep.today/weekly adv tips. And as we look at how we can apply things like a credo for support in our advocacy, the other thing that could be interesting is to show the video to your child. Show it tonight with your family. Because that's where we need to start our advocacy, right? Is within our home, how we see our own kids, the expectations we have for them. Are we always presuming they're competent, like we want the teachers to? So let me know if you show this film to your family and what the reactions are. And Angela has a good point about kids being involved. She said, now that IEP seems to have gone viral, my daughter's no longer interested in them or sitting in front of her teachers. She has attended them in the past when in person. Yeah, and like all of us, I think that creativity of how do we change those virtual meetings and make them something that would be engaging for our kids, right? And I want a celebration. Karen has a celebration. She says the paras at our school are getting more comfortable talking with me. So that's like a huge win, right? Those relationships. If you've watched many of my shows, you've probably heard me say many a time, relationships are the key to our advocacy. Because we need to have that communication. We need to connect with other people that are in our child's life, and we need to be able to try to understand each other's perspective. And once we can have more of an idea where others are coming from and what's underlying some of their actions, then we can begin to look at how can we connect with each other and how can we help each other understand. And so that is my wish for you this week, is that we keep listening to each other, learning from each other, and advocating with each other, because it takes a whole lot of us to make a difference. And yes, as an individual, we can make a difference for our own kiddos, but that's not enough. We also have to see those changes our children are benefiting from expand to other kids in our schools, expand to other people in our communities that are being marginalized. So let's hear some more of your comments, and I will be picking that book winner. Samantha says, if Jim Henson, creator of Muppets, hosted an IEP meeting, my son would join it virtually. Creativity is the right approach. I'd love that. So yeah, so how about, Angela and others, how about, I wonder if there's a way for your child to pick something that is like special, represents them. Like, what if they had a video about themselves playing with their pets, reading a favorite book, giggling at a slumber party with other kids. So maybe that would be cool. Make your own 3-minute video, 1-minute video to start the IEP meeting and have it star your child. And for those couple of minutes, they would probably be excited to be at the IEP meeting. And then after the film, they could see what other things would they like to share with the teachers. So I love that idea. What other ideas can we come up with of how our kids can, be that voice at their own meetings? I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, and Angela says, I love that. And Amy says, learn so much when you presented that one night on different angles to take thinking about how different things motivate different people. Yeah, it's, and that's what we have to look at too, right? And I think as parents, so many times we see that avenue of connection to the staff by sharing research articles, by sharing, maybe videos like a credo for support. And sometimes we don't even ask the teachers, 1, would you like some more information about this? 2, how would you like to get that information? Would you like to see a video? Would you rather have a research-based article so you can see exactly what this means? Would you like to have a substitute teacher, which we know they're in the shortage right now, but would you like to be able to go observe where inclusion is happening, where kids are accepted for who they are, And they don't have to do exactly what everybody else is doing to be accepted. Because when we have teachers actually seeing, observing classrooms where inclusion is happening, that has such a powerful impact on educators. So ask, how would you like to get some information? Would you like some books recommended that would be helpful? We can't assume that all teachers are the same kind of learner and would want something, a handout to read. Some other people might want to learn that information in another way. Yes, so Samantha says, good idea. Show and tell them if there's, and let them tell if there's more. Yes, sorry. Show and let them tell if there's more. I like that. Kristen, thanks for being here. She said, celebration. Where's my party favor? My son has been included in general ed since kindergarten, now in 5th grade. Last week, a few parents of his classmates told me how much they appreciate my son being in their class. That he has taught their kids to see beyond differences and find the strengths and beauty in others. Wow, thank you, Kristen. And where are you? We want to celebrate your school district, your state. Good things are happening, right? Yes, yes, yes. So what are some other comments that we have here? Because you guys are great. I hope you're seeing other people's comments and getting some ideas from other parents, because that's what I want us to be, is a support group that helps each other and that shares resources and ideas, shares success, because that's something that helps us have the energy, right, to keep going. And Kim says, no, you do not need any apologies. I think that keeping on learning every day, and some days we just need to sit back and reflect at the things we've learned, done, seen, overcome, struggled with, and breathe, or cry, or scream. Yes, 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 yes. Thanks, thanks, thanks. Andrea says, I'm so grateful for your willingness to express emotion. It normalizes it for me and what I feel. Yeah, I also think back on some of those elementary IEP meetings when we did start having them in like the typical conference room. And one of the first things I would do is look around that conference table and make sure there was a box of Kleenex, because there were times when I have cried at IEP meetings too. And, it's a business meeting, but it's also a meeting with humans, right? And our emotions are part of what help us come together. And my friend Barb in Texas, thanks, Barb. Yes, we don't have to apologize for our emotions. Let's see, what other celebrations do we have? And Amy says, yes, I think I showed this. It's kids being what they're naturally being, without adults destroying. They're loving themselves. Andrea, she says, I used some of your one-liners in my son's IEP meeting yesterday. It wasn't perfect, but it's closer. You are making a difference for my son. Yeah, and so the research that Andrea's talking about is a few weeks ago, I shared a handout that I wrote about 25 different responses that you can say at IEP meetings when you hear like your child's not ready to be in the first grade class. So if you did not get that resource of the 25 responses, let me know and I'll make sure that you get that. So I don't forget, the winner of our book today is Kim from Iowa, because she guessed 1991. And The Credo for Support, the film that we've seen a couple different versions of today, was actually written in 1995. So, what, 27 years ago? And unfortunately, it's still relevant today. So, in the next 27 years, let's see how much change we can implement, so we can look back on A Credo for Support and say, you know, there were days that were like that. And thank goodness we have come much further than that, right? Virginia from Connecticut, she says, I'm so grateful for your show today. Thanks for being here. Yeah, it's an incredible place for us to be. And we have so many opportunities to create more possibilities for our kids. So I love that you are here with us. Come back next Thursday, because the authors of A Credo for Support and the authors of Being Realistic Isn't Realistic, Norman Kuntz and his wife Emma Vanderclift, are going to be our guests. So let's hope that I got all my tears out today. And next Thursday, we will be rocking it. So I wanted to leave you with a quote that, came up on my Facebook memory page. You know how those memories come back on your Facebook page? This was a post from several years ago after I had a visit with a dear friend. And so we are going to round out our show with this quote. And I will see you again next Thursday. So take care. We love you. And I love the work that you're doing for your kiddos. So keep it up. And here we go. Whatever you do, hold on to hope. The tiniest thread will twist into an unbreakable cord. Let hope anchor you in the possibility that this is not the end of your story, that change will bring you to peaceful shores.